Hi. If you've happened upon this video, it's because you are looking, as I have been looking, for a way to get your stuff out of Evernote and into Apple Notes. The new tagging feature in Apple Notes finally gives us a way to nearly match what we had in Evernote, but getting your Evernote tags to come along for the ride remains a challenge. I'm making this video because, at least as of right now, January 2022, I haven't been able to find any clues on how to do this. But I've come across a way, I've figured out a way to do it that involves using a macro app and a fair amount of time. But in the end, I was able to wind up with all my Evernote notes and notebooks recreated in Apple Notes, along with their tags. I should note that I am not a big video YouTube kind of guy here, so the production values are not going to be terribly high, but I'm just pretty sure that there are a lot of folks out there who've been just as frustrated as I have been, and I want to share one solution to this problem. Okay, let's go. Here's the short version first, and then I'll go into more detail after that. So my approach is to use a macro tool to automatically paste the tag text into each note. Now I'm using Keyboard Maestro. I'm on a Mac. There are probably other tools out there that do this. It's not a commercial for Keyboard Maestro. It's just the only tool I could find that would let me automate a lot of this stuff. So I paste the tag text like hashtag Poconos into the end of each note, and then I export all of those notes, all of the notebooks and notes, and import those into Apple Notes. Now, originally my thought was that just merely by having the hashtag Poconos text sitting in a note, that Apple Notes would recognize that as the tag, but that's not how it works, unfortunately. Once all those notes are imported, I do a search for that tag text that I inserted into each note, and then I drag the resulting list of notes into a folder. That folder has the name of the tag. Then, the key step, I convert that folder of notes to a smart folder, and that inserts the tag into each of the notes. Lastly, I drag all those notes back into the notebook from whence they came. Here we are in Evernote, where I have 6,000 notes, and I have about 66 tags here. The number of tags is really the limiting factor when following the approach I want to show you. If you have hundreds of tags, this approach may just take too much time, but hang in there and see what you think. First off, let's set up Evernote. What we'll do is, first thing is we're going to set up list view here to sort by updated, oldest first, and I'll leave it to you to set up the list the way you want it, because I know there's lots of different ways you can have this home window set up. But here we have it as a list view up by updated, oldest first. And we do that because as we add the tag to each note and save that note, then in this case that note will be updated, so it's going to go down to the bottom of the list, leaving the oldest untagged note at the top. Now I'm going to go down and I'm going to select the tag that I'm going to be adding to each note, in this case Poconos. In another document, I've typed that tag text. Now, my hope when I started this was that just merely by adding hashtag Poconos to every note, that when I got into Apple Notes, it would see that and identify that as a tag. But it doesn't quite work that way. But at least it gets us started here. I'll set that off to the side for now. Let's go take a look at setting up the tagging macro. Now I'm using Keyboard Maestro. So here's how this macro is set up. This is a macro to tag one note. What it does is, when activated, it activates Evernote application, waits half a second just to make sure Evernote is at the front. Then it clicks in a particular spot, which is right there at the top of this list, like we talked about earlier. So it clicks there, waits a couple seconds for the note content to load. Scroll down here. Then, after waiting 2 seconds, it presses Tab automatically, and that moves the focus to the title field. And then it hits Tab again, which moves the focus to the content of the note. And then it does a select all here, Command A to select all of the body text, and then it presses right arrow key, which places the cursor at the end of the content of your note. Then it pastes, and I think I forgot to mention that I will have copied this Poconos text here. I actually put in a couple returns before and after just to put in some separation. So it pastes in that tag text at the end of the note content. Then it saves it, waits a second for it to save. Then just for good measure, it synchronizes and it pauses for 3 seconds to make sure everything's all up to date. And that's it. Then I created a repeat tag here that repeats this. Actually, this should probably just say X times, repeat however many times. And that X is however many notes need to have that tag added to it. So let's just do it. First, I'm going to revisit my document with my tag here. Copy that. Then I'm going to go back to Evernote, and I'm going to make sure I have this tag selected. These are all the notes that are going to be tagged with the Poconos tag. And let's see. So there are 2 tags that need to be updated. So I go over here to my repeat X times, and I tell it I'm going to tag 2 notes. There we go. And now I run my trigger here, which I'm going to trigger this tag by doing Command Option 5. You can set that up to whatever you want. Here we go. It activates Evernote, clicks on the first note, selects all, pastes that tag at the bottom, waits a few seconds, saves, synchronizes, and then it goes on to the next one. Select all, pastes, saves, synchronize, and then it's done. That process takes about 7 seconds per note that needs to be tagged. So this can be time consuming when you have a lot of notes to tag. And also after the macro has run, it's wise to check the updated timestamp to double check to see if there are any notes that still haven't gotten tagged. If it's missed a few, just run the macro again enough times to get them. Now what you need to do is just do that with every one of these tags. So that if you have a tag that's used on 200 notes, say, then 200 notes times 7 seconds is a little over 23 minutes to process one tag, and we'll have to run this process for every tag before we move on to the next step. So that's the math you have to do to determine if this is a solution for you. Oh, and then we also have to do some other time-consuming stuff. It's less time-consuming, but we have some more stuff to do once we get everything into Apple Notes. Let's move on. Once we've worked through all of our tags, then we need to export our notes. Now, if you normally just keep everything in one great big Evernote notebook, then this is a one-step process. But in my case, I have several notebooks. I want to keep those notebooks as folders in Apple Notes. So I'm going to need to export each notebook. But in this case, I'm working on my travel notebook here. So what we do is we select that notebook, we select all of our notes in that notebook, and we go to the File menu and we export notes. And I'm going to call this Travel. And I'm going to export as Evernote XML. You can check this include tags for each note or not. It doesn't matter. They don't come along for the ride. Or save. There we go. Okay, that's done. So now we'll go to Notes. And now we will import that travel notebook. File menu, import to Notes. Travel. There we go. Import. Yes, that's fine. So there we go. It's imported all of the notes into Imported Notes folder here, which I'm going to rename to Travel. And let's see, where are we? Okay, so the notes that we tagged with Poconos are in this notebook. We can find them by searching for hashtag Poconos. There it is. There's 2 of them. That's correct. But you look at the tag here, and it's not really a tag. It's just plain text. I was hoping that Notes would just see that and know that it's a tag, but no. I could just place my cursor after each one, hit return, that turns it into a tag, but I would have to do that for each tag, which I'm not going to do for 6,000 notes times however many tags. So I'm going to undo. Okay, so here we are. We've got 2 notes with tags that are not really tags yet. Here is the magic bit that makes all of this finally work. I'm going to create a whole new folder. And down here, new folder. I'm going to call this Poconos. I'm going to go back. I'm going to search everywhere again for Poconos, hashtag Poconos. There, I've got 2 notes. I'm going to select all my notes here. Click in here, Command A, selects all. I'm going to drag those 2 notes into my Poconos folder. Here we go. Here's the fun part. If I right-click on that Poconos folder, convert to Smart Folder. This is the awesome part. Do that. It says, convert to Smart Folder. Hashtag Poconos will be added to each note. So it can't be undone. Good. Let's convert those. So it now has converted all of those plain text. Well, no, it hasn't converted those. It's inserted a new tag here. I don't really care if I have it in there twice. Doesn't really matter. So success. Now that those notes have the tags. Now, at least in my structure, I want these notes to be in the travel folder. So I'm going to select all these notes. Command A, select them all. Drag them back to my travel folder. Now we're all back there. I'm going to right click on my smart folder and I'm going to delete it because I don't need that anymore. It's just deleting the smart folder. It's not doing anything to the notes themselves. And that's it. That's it seems like not quite the right phrase because there's quite a lot to that. This video is longer than I wish it were, but there's a lot to it. I look forward to the day when this video is superfluous. My hope is that soon Apple will add the ability to run a search, select all the notes in the search results, and then apply a tag to them all. But that's not there yet. Let us end this with a toast to the Evernote that used to be, simple and straightforward, and to all of you who have stuck it out this far.